Welcome back to the Circle of Drift podcast presented by SimHQ, where we interview some of the most interesting personalities within the industry. My name is Dawson, and today we have on none other than TJ Hunt, where we chat about whether it's good or bad to start with an angle kit,
drive a car that is set up to do what you're trying to do.
His Supra that Drift HQ is building.
I mean, it's pretty much Adam's E36, exactly the setup in the 36 as A90.
His venture into rush cars.
You'll be surprised on how beat up your body gets in that damn car.
Yeah.
It is a full body workout.
Some possible future drift teams.
Seeing Red Bull presented the way it is in FD adds a lot of value, in my opinion. Is like slowly taking the steps up the ladder to make another player like RTR in the sport.
And maybe one day, TJ Hunt in Formula Drift.
So when the right opportunity presents itself, I'd love to drive FD. But as of right now, I'm having so much fun in so many other areas that I also I'm enjoying doing. I don't want to pigeon myself just FD when there could be other opportunities with a farther road.
And a lot more while we sat down at Gridlife in South Carolina. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button below the video. And without further ado, let's get into the podcast.
I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era.
All right, dude. Well, we got TJ Hunt, starting it off with a banger. So, how are you doing this weekend? We'll start there.
Yeah, doing good. So we're doing rush racing. Had a pretty bad day yesterday, just like in practice, just couldn't figure it out. I've had a pretty good amount of seat time in these cars, but due to some practice, and I was the slowest guy out of our. I was not driving well. Had a lot of problems with our brake pressure and locking up, and then did qualifying, got like 15th or 16th, which not bad, not where we wanted to be.
Right.
And then yesterday it started pouring before race one, so everyone's like, they deemed it a wet race, so we're like, what do we want to do? We want to do dries, want to do wets, want to do dries, want to do wets. We last minute decided to put on the wet tires.
Okay.
And miss the start of the race.
No shit.
Because we were doing the last minute tire change.
Oh, so that's what Grant was talking about then.
Yeah, so we went out to grid, and the pace car, when it's raining, will do 2 laps before the rolling start. We missed both laps. They put me in false grid, started the race. They started green flag,
dude.
Waited a half lap, and they sent me out.
Oh my god.
But then we passed we ended up passing like 20 people and ended up in P8.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So
dude, that's impressive.
Yeah, I had the 4th or 5th fastest lap time in wet, and I don't know, I think I just found my comfort with the car finally. Yeah. And we had a race last year at WRL Coda, which is an 8-hour enduro, and it was pouring all weekend.
Oh, that was some good.
And the Miata we had, there was no ABS, there was no anything. So I got it just to
How comparable is a Miata to those cars?
Very different.
Obviously, people compare them as far as looks.
So different. So the Rush cars, although they're like, joked as the Miata, it's a prototype car. Everything is different. There's no.
Is it technically tube chassis?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just like production cars have so much weight, even with downforce and cages and all this stuff. There's so much body roll to the GT4 chassis and production car chassis compared to prototypes. Prototypes are much, in my opinion, much more raw and have way stiffer. So it's just a completely different driving style.
That's crazy.
You can't trail brake in these cars at all. You trail brake, you pretty much spin out. Ask me how I know. I do it all the time. Yesterday was great. Finished P8. And the Sunoco team, it's Nate and 6, me and 8, I think Shanks and 9, and Grant and 10. So we all of us started in the back of the race.
That's so insane.
And we all caught up and just I think the help of drifting, being comfortable.
Okay, so that's
in the
what
rain.
I was about to ask. Is seeing all of you guys jumping from drifting into this rush stuff. You're blowing people out of the water. As far as that sounds bad, but as far as the time it's taking you to catch up is so much faster than just someone getting into rush from the jump.
I would argue that's pretty true.
Is it all because of drifting?
I think so. I think it's just being so comfortable with oversteer and understeer.
Right.
And being comfortable with proximity. Because when you're road racing here and you're going into corners at 130, you will lose a lot of time if you are not comfortable braking and staying 6 inches from your rear bumper. and
Jesus
monitoring
Christ.
that brake pressure. So I think that has a lot to help. And then really just being able to, in drifting, you learn very quickly as you're rolling into a turn, even if you're not initiating, where that rear is going to step out.
Right.
When you go into a corner with high speed, as a drifter, you have that like sixth sense of like, if I get 1 mile per hour more, the rear is stepping out, or hey, my fronts aren't warm enough, I'm going to start understeering. So
That's
having
crazy
that
how we
balance
adapt
of
that.
knowing your front and your rears and where the slip points are, I think carries over a lot when it comes to road racing.
Yeah.
Where a lot of guys, they step out, they freak. And, sometimes
about
it's
that a
faster
lot.
to slip the rear end out on some of these corners. It's faster to have your rear.
Is it not frowned
drifting.
upon, though, in this type of racing?
Well, we're not out there trying to drift. If you're drifting, you'll be slower. But that's not to say that in certain sections, we're playing with stepping out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's faster to take the inside line and fight grip a little bit than it is to take the outside line, just because on these sweeps, you'll shave off 180 feet. Just
That's
on like
insane.
a couple turns if you take the inside line, even when there's no grip.
Well, okay, so whenever you do have to play that game where you step it out a little bit, is it not more drastic given that the wheelbase is so much shorter in something like that?
These are very snappy. These are not like drift cars. And that's where I think the drift experience comes in. Is I'm not going to speak for everybody, but from what I've gathered is that when these cars step out, it can be quite alarming because it's very quick to over-rotate. It's like, you hear people drifting Miatas and they're tough because of that wheelbase. And these are even shorter. So it's definitely a fine line, but having the experience of drifting and when you do step out and being like, oh, relax, like either stay in it and correct or feather off a little bit, get your weight set and then get back on throttle. I mean, it's like second nature for us.
That's so cool.
And that's what we always laugh about. We're like, we'll be in practice or qualifying or in a race and we do an accidental drift, and then we'll meet with some of the guys, and they're like, whoa, we're hot dogging out there. I'm like, yeah, brother.
That's crazy. We're like the wild guys of that industry.
Yeah, we're known as like the hot doggers out there. But it's hard to dial that back because, that's going to make you slower. But in some cases, it does happen, and if you can save yourself with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, do you see yourself venturing more down the rush side of things rather than drifting nowadays, or is it going to be a good even balance?
I don't know. I've always, and I've said this flat out, I always thought like road racing and grip driving was the lamest thing in the world. Like I've had zero interest in it for the last 10 years, and I was like, drifting's where it's at, way more excitement, the thrill doesn't match. And I think that's because all I had really done was like HPDE with whatever car I had, and you're out there by yourself, setting a lap time down, driving a car that's not set up, driving a car not actually looking at data and figuring out like what you can do. Where I came out and I drove one of these rush cars for the first time last year on track with like Hamilton, Forsberg, and whomever was there.
Yeah.
And once you learn to drive the car and you go 4 wide into a corner at 130 down to 30 miles an hour in like a second, and you're battling and we're bumping and you're overtaking and someone's going too deep and you over under. I did one like practice day with them and I was like, this is the most fun I've ever had driving in my life. And whereas this weekend, for example, we're going to get, I think, 3 hours of driving time.
That's insane.
Where win or lose, you got 3 hours of driving time. There's still 3 hours of thrill of passing people, getting past, going back to the trailer, looking at your deltas, looking at your brake pressure, looking at your zones, and being like, analytically, let's change this and let's see the improvement on the next run.
Yeah.
Where in drifting, you go to a comp, a high-level comp, let's say like, hot pit or like clutch kickers.
Right.
Practice is much larger in those events, but even still, the last hot pit round, I think we got 9 or 8 practice laps before going into quali.
That's good, yeah.
Which was solid. And then, quali and then top 32. You could go home after sub 5 minutes of time. And you're still, and drifting is more expensive than rush.
Is it really?
The rush car takes, the cost per hour is less than a K1 speed go-kart. The car itself is like 45, 50 grand, but the cost per hour.
How much are you spending per round?
Here?
Yeah.
Well, I can't answer that for myself because I do an arrive and drive program.
Fair.
So it's different. But I mean, let's just say you buy a rush car for 50 grand. You come here, we'll go through 1 or 2 sets of tires. You have a spare set of reins. Assuming you don't blow anything up.
That's a pretty cheap weekend.
I mean, you're going to buy your entry just like any other drifter here.
Yeah.
And fuel, you go through fuel.
Yeah.
But I mean, fuck.
But that's
definitely spending
there's a lot more
$2
maintenance
grand.
that comes along with those.
I mean,
but
what
it can't
you
be that
spend
bad.
what you spend in 14 tires to come out here is definitely more than what you're going to spend if you don't break anything on the rush car.
Yeah. Especially
Which
being on
makes
this road
those
course.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Is it's a great spec level entry to get into at an affordable cost. I mean,
so
spec
wild,
Miata's
man.
more than that.
Is it really?
Yeah. Dude, some spec Miata cars are expensive.
Oh, I mean, I've seen some of them that get pretty wild,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't guess it'd be more than those. Like, those things just seem so simple.
There are some that are wild.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's...
Insane,
I've had a lot
dude.
of thrill with it, and, you know, when we did our first, like, practice day, they were like, hey, that's some pretty notable time for someone who's never had any experience. And, yeah, I think I equate it back to drifting and just being, you know, the love for cars, playing video games, like all of us.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people drifting would naturally do well in the right environment.
Mm-hmm. Have you used, I assume, Sim to adapt to all this stuff a lot better, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've done more in-car than sim stuff, but Assetto has, you can download a Rush car. Rush car has all their, like, preset cars, so you can properly, like,
that's pretty sick.
Play with them and get to know them a little bit. But
I'm not the dabble on that myself.
Yeah, it's wild, and you'd be really surprised on how much of a... People often go, those are like big go-karts. I'm like, brother, they're not like go-karts.
A little bit more than that.
Yeah, so they're Gixxer 1000 engines, and they weigh 1,200 pounds, and it's air-shifted.
1,200. Okay, so we were actually talking about that. We were guessing it was at least under 1,000. Are there some of them that are, possibly, or are they all right about 1,200?
So we all have to weigh in on impounds.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's all spec class, so you have to be in your set weight. Everyone's within the same limit.
That's so wild.
Yeah, so they're like 1,200,
I don't know enough about
pounds.
The
and, you know, they move. I mean, our lap time, our fastest guy, Blair, set a 1:38.1, which is the same time as the C8s out there driving when they're in the advanced track. It's not the Z06, but you see those big. Everyone has C8s out here driving with the big wings.
Yeah,
it's just as fast. And we're
so
running
crazy,
4
dude.
deep into turn 1. So like
turn one's tight.
Yeah, it is so much more aggressive. No ABS, no power steering, no traction control.
Yeah.
It's 100% raw. We'll pull 2 Gs into the corners, and the wheel resistance force. When I did my first practice day, my whole body was wrecked.
You almost like passed out from the G-force?
No, I mean it's not.
Like,
it's not that aggressive, but you'll be surprised on how beat up your body gets in that damn car.
Yeah,
it is a full body workout. We're constantly being reminded on comms to breathe, breathe, breathe. Stop holding your breath, and we'll go back and watch data or watch like a heart rate monitor. Or there's some corners where you don't breathe for 3 corners.
That's crazy that you even have that type of analytics
and that's
to
what's
dial
so cool
into.
Is in the drifting side, sure, there is data.
Yeah.
RTR and all those guys, they're 100% looking at data.
Right.
But the amount of data you get on road racing is personally like nothing I've ever seen.
So what analytics are you actually looking at on the most regular basis?
Anything. So everything's tracked by GPS, and we have in-car video. So you can watch your line. You can see your mile per hour at any point on the track, and we can compare it with all of our drivers. So we can take our fastest guy, Blair, and I just finished my session.
Yeah.
We go over, we'll do both of our data, and we can literally look at brake pressure. We can look at braking point. And we can look at all on graphs. We can look at how much acceleration we're giving, how much throttle we're getting. We can look at the Gs we're pulling. We can look at anything. Our in-car video.
Wow.
I mean, literally any piece of information that you want to see, you can look at, and you'd be shocked on how much faster you get just by really taking the changes and going and applying it, or even just on braking. I mean, that's the hardest thing with CMP, is the braking zones on 1, 8, and like 13.
What makes them complicated, I guess?
Just, you're going fast, man. Like, going 130 and bringing your wheel speed down to exactly like 50 miles per hour at the right, and that's like, if you nail that correctly, you won't fly off track. If you take that 5 feet too deep, you're off in the woods. So just like, that's where I feel what we're noticing on our data is like, if you guys can just tighten up, we'll go watch the video, be like, you see that patch of sand? That's our break point. Or if you're too scared, do a half Mississippi before that breaks sand, and I need 95% throttle brake pressure for a second, and then we need like 60% or else you're going to lock up.
How do you remember this stuff?
You'd be surprised when you're out there turning lap after lap after lap
after second nature.
After lap after lap. Because there's, how I find it is there's like certain sections where you're like, I'm good. We go to the data, I'm like, I'm flowing, it clicks.
Yeah.
And there's other sections where you're like, every time I hit it, I'm like,
Nothing feels right.
So you're really just remembering, like for me, it's 1, 8, and I think 12.
Okay.
In my head, I know I'm going 300, sand 300, which means I'm going down the 1. I'm going to stop I'm going to start 95% brake pressure at 300, bleed off, and then I know that my sand is coming down on 8. The brake markers have been destroyed, so we have no brake markers there, but there's a patch of sand right when the downhill compresses to the uphill. There's a patch of sand that we're watching. So if you can go 300 sand, you'll carry I'll shave a second and a half on this next session. And then on my last one, going down the kink, and then you go down, you make the left hand decreased radius. There's a 300 marker that if you do 10 feet past 300, you're in the woods. So stay at 3. And for me, if I can remember that this next session, I know doing it perfect, I'd shave 2 seconds, but I'll probably shave at least a half second on this next session by applying those changes, looking at data again, and being like, okay, we're there. Now take it a half second or a thousandth of a second farther. So like that's
a lot of big brain stuff, man.
But
that's
dude,
crazy.
It comes so naturally once you get there. Like I think some people watch it and they're like, whoa, like that's so hard, and it's not easy. But you'd be surprised when you love it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it clicks
like
once you're in the driver's seat
pretty
and everything.
quickly.
But from an outsider perspective, it is nothing but impressive.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot, but I think it's more doable than people would think, and that's the whole point of Rush, is to get people in cars at an affordable price. And now they just released their SRX Turbo, twice the horsepower, twice the price, and that's not really like, but it's like the SR is more of like budget in mind, keep it affordable, and the SRX, which is the turbo, is like better ECU, better PDM, way more control, DRS.
Yeah, a more extreme class.
Way bigger body, same wheelbase, and they're wicked. I mean, I don't want to say what they've beaten. I don't know if they released stuff, but I mean, it's beaten things that are triple its price. Prototype cars, and you're like,
that hurts.
Yeah, and the guys that built that, they're like, it's wicked. They haven't even let me drive it yet.
Damn, dude.
So
you have to let me know how it is when you do.
Dude, I'm hyped. I'm hyped. They're gonna be running it, I think, in Atlanta.
Cool.
There's gonna be 5 or 6 guys running the SRX Turbo. So
I'll be there. So we'll have to run this back and
dude, yeah, they had it at the Sunoco pump party last night, and they were revving it. And you can hear all like the turbo surge. It's sick. It's super sick.
Dude.
They slapped a turbo on a Gixxer 1000 engine. It's dope. It's really cool.
Cowboys, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, other than the Rush stuff, how is the drifting side of things going? I know you still got Selena around.
Yeah.
And all that.
We're driving with her next week in a hot pit round 2.
Sick. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the C6 okay?
C6 is epic.
Okay.
We wrecked in the back of Trent in round 1. He had a car malfunction and just went into him at 70 mile an hour on Outer Bank 1. So we got all that fixed up. So right now we have 3 chassis we're running. We have the C6, which is really a drift week car. It's a party car.
Right.
It's LS3, big flowy heads, stock internals, makes 540 NA, and we have a 175 shot for it that we didn't run for hot pit. And then we have our 350 Selena, which is a proper pro spec car. Drift HQ, we did the whole thing. It's like a very adequately it's a great weapon in pro spec.
Absolutely.
As is. Changed nothing about it. Then we have our A90 build, which Drift HQ is about to finish, which is pretty much a Pro 1 car.
Okay. Is there anything that you can let us know about the Supra yet?
Yeah, I mean,
it'll be a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
think.
Drift HQ dropped a video on it. I mean, it's pretty much Adam's E36.
Okay.
Exactly the setup in the 36 as the A90.
Oh, that's gonna be a weapon for you.
Yeah,
dude.
it's gonna be nasty. So it's like to the T. Everything that's on that car, other than the ECU, we're going Haltech, is the same car.
Sick, man.
So
that'll be really good for you.
Yeah.
On the drifting side of things, it has been impressive to see the growth that you've had. I mean, you've developed as a driver very rapidly, and a competitive one at that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
wild.
That's all credit goes to my stock 370Z that I had. It's just an angle kit and a hydro.
Exactly.
And we won 4 podiums in hot pit against FT chassis, and then any other comp we've gone to. I mean, just that car alone, I recently sold it, we have like 14 podiums in.
That's insane.
In a year
At
and
a
a half.
heavily underpowered car.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It was stock engine. We ran nitrous at hot pit, but it was a 75 shot. The car was down on power. It made like 370 wheel.
Jesus.
Stock gearbox, Wisefab, dual caliper.
How do you keep up in a car like that?
Momentum. That's what I feel like made me a better driver, is learning to keep up with margaritas in his 750 Pro 2 car, or driving with Rome in Sally, or driving with Trent, or driving with any of these guys. In all the driving I've been doing with LZ and Chelsea, and I've had the opportunity to be driving with some of the best guys in the world for years, and doing that in a car that's underpowered has allowed me to undo everything I learned and drive with momentum.
Yeah. Explain that, though. What do you mean momentum? Because obviously people will hear that, but they don't quite understand, especially if they're new.
So my second gear wheel speed in the Z was 64 miles per hour.
Okay.
Set it and forget it. Couldn't grab third in that car. The gearing ratio is too long. So thankfully for everything we did, we could get away with about 64 mile an hour wheel speed, but what we did to cheat it is we used a Nitto G2 255 45 18. We had the tallest sidewall possible, so we were maximizing our chassis speed. Once we did that, you're gonna have to sacrifice angle in certain areas, but the key is to go in as fast as possible. Let's say you're following an FD car on a big outer bank, right? He's gonna throw massive angle, so we're gonna shallow up a little bit, be in the pocket, sacrifice where you need to for the proximity. That's what the judges wanted for hot pit, and you cannot waver. If you make any corrections in chase, you're gapped.
Right.
So it's really about being in the right place at the right time, and timing has to be damn near perfect so you don't get gapped in the chase.
Yeah.
So driving with momentum means high speed, minimal correction, and if you can pull that off, it looks pretty damn good. And then in your chase, you just run your bro line. You run the big angle, use everything you got, and then you have someone that's gripped up 700 horsepower behind you. They're going to have a hell of a time chasing you. So it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
But I got really damn well at driving that car and won a lot of events with it.
Yeah.
In between, I was still driving my Selena car, which is a pro spec car, and I was doing all the Gridlifes, but the equate of the amount of driving we did in 2 years was insane.
I get it, man. And that's what I meant too, as far as like the progression and stuff. I think the Supra is really going to allow you to drive at your full potential.
Yeah, I agree. And we drove the Z last year at the last round of Drift League, which was the California Pro Spec League. We finished second overall, but we drove the Z every round that year. There's 3 rounds.
Yeah.
First round, I took myself out. Disappointing, but we landed in like 7th or 8th or something. And then we got podiumed the second round, or we got first place at the second round, and then second place or third place at the third round, and we were short 10 points from getting the license. But the Z is super competitive and super great, and being able to apply the momentum style to not using the big power to save yourself on all your corrections just helps dial in that flow and dial in, just rate the angle, set it, forget it. It's been a really, really good combo.
Absolutely. Well, with all you've learned as far as car setup, what would you say is a good basic setup to go for?
I have a hot take.
On almost any.
I have a hot take.
Send it. I'm here for it. Yo, dude, when's your first event? What? I think it's in 2 weeks, something like that. But dude, have you even ordered tires yet? Oh my God, you're right. Dude, thanks for that reminder. I gotta do that. Yeah, no problem, man. Have you tried the Zeknovas yet? I mean, I've been tossing around the idea of doing that, but I think realistically I'm just gonna buy some cheap Walmart tires like I usually do. No, okay. No, we're not doing that. You've had plenty of seat time by now. You need proper tires. But what do you mean proper tires? Well, what I mean by proper tires is like better grip, more consistency, longer life, and as weird as it sounds, even smells better. But bro, they're so much more expensive. No. Just use the Circle of Drift code. It's like 20% off. Yo, wait, really? But what do I do for the next event? Well, then just use it again. I mean, you can literally use it all season if you want. Well, shit, you ain't gonna tell me twice. I'm gonna do that. Same goes for you, too. If you're looking to get your tires before the first event, maybe it's coming up quick, drop down below to the link to Zeknova Tires and use the code Circle of Drift to get 20% off.
When I first started drifting, and on YouTube and, like, you know, everyone's very quick to talk shit when they can.
Yep.
I remember getting flamed for getting my 350Z and then immediately throwing a PBM angle kit on it.
Okay.
Everyone's like,
okay,
you're learning to drift. You should learn to drift with no angle. Learn the car first. Don't get angle and then start to learn.
With certain cars, I will say I somewhat agree with that.
I so disagree with that.
But why?
I so disagree with that. Because we're drifting.
Yeah.
Right? You would agree we're drifting? So if you're drifting, do you want to go drive my rush car to drift?
No.
Well, yeah, you
has
do.
No angle.
Exactly, because it's not set up to do that.
Yeah.
So when you're learning to drift, I'd rather, and I offer this to everyone, drive, and look at him, he's cheering on in the background. Drive a car that is set up to do what you're trying to do.
And I totally
don't think it's
understand
going to handicap you. I don't believe that. Yeah. I don't believe that learning to drive with a lot of angle is gonna make you worse. A lot of guys will argue this.
Yeah.
In my experience, when I have seen even friends that drive all my stock, I had so many friends that drove my 370Z, and they'll go and drive, or we go to Ebisu and we bring friends out and we rent cars, and there's guys that are learning on a stock angle Ebisu car, and the guys that are learning on like the JZXs with the angle kit.
Yeah. Damn.
And we got to test it and to see like who does better throughout the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people are watching drifting, so they're seeing the angle and they're seeing this, and then you go and you mimic that in a stock angle car, and you keep over rotating, and you can't do this and that. I just go and learn on an angle car, and you'll progress so much faster.
Here's my rebuttal to that. Based off of what you said, learning to drive with momentum was the best thing that could have helped you.
Yeah.
Learning to drive a car with little angle helps you learn momentum more, because you have to learn that the faster that you go compensates for the lack of angle.
I'm not saying go get a 500 horsepower. Like myself, I outbuilt my car and and it screwed me. That's too far. But I don't think getting an angle kit is too far when it comes to a starter build drift car.
No, I totally agree. I wanted to see what the other perspective
I mean, dude, I don't know. I
argue with it.
I have this conversation. Everyone at the shop, Dylan and everyone, they're like, nope, disagree with you. Couldn't disagree more.
Yeah.
Learn on a stock angle car. And I'm like, nah.
I would still highly suggest, for personally, starting with smaller angle. Maybe if you do get an angle kit, maybe get an FDF mini kit or something like that.
Sure.
And start basic.
I could settle there. Maybe don't
really
get like
understand the car.
Maybe don't go get a wise fab
right
off the bat. But if I had a friend ask me, I would say, yeah, I would.
If you got the money for it, by all means, absolutely do whatever you want to start with.
Let's say money's not a factor.
Then yeah,
and
start
I'm
with
like,
a setup car.
You're like, I want to learn how to drift. What do I get? I'm like, go get a 370Z, throw an angle kit of your choice on it, throw in a hydro, and go up.
Solid, yeah.
Yes, I understand throwing more angle is gonna slow the momentum down, but I would also say, hey, cool, you saw how much angle, you saw what happens when you throw too much angle. Now go in and lessen the wheel speed, or stay on the gas and unwind the wheel a little bit and look at where your trajectory is going.
Absolutely.
I know where you're going.
I get it.
Go into a stock car and they're just like, I just can't get it. It doesn't work. And then I'm like, go drive my Z.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go do figure eights. And they're like, that was easy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, weird. A car that's set up to do what you're trying to ask it to do works? That's crazy.
Well, no more arguments on that.
Don't go do what I did and Jay-Z swap in, do like a CD09 adapter and overbuild your car.
How much did you spend on that car in the beginning when you first did all that?
Wait, Nate, come here. Hot take.
Come join
We're
it.
gonna interrupt.
Yeah.
Stand
We
right here,
need
stand right
your
here.
opinion on this.
Okay. In your opinion, someone that's new to drifting, should they learn to drive on a stock angle car or a car with an angle kit?
Stock angle.
100%.
I knew it.
You're so wrong.
What?
So wrong.
No.
No.
The harder,
I regret reading
the harder it is in the beginning, the more you learn, and then the easier it gets later.
So this was my argument. He's talking about momentum drifting was probably the best thing that he could learn. You learn that more with less angle.
well, having less angle will like it'll teach you.
You
more
have
momentum.
to drive with momentum.
more momentum. You have to learn your line. Like having wise fab
sorry,
in
man.
the beginning
You
is
lost in this
We're
one.
also talking to TJ Hunt here.
No.
I know, right?
I
right.
approve. Get
Love
the angle kit. Keep
You got to come back too,
relatively
by the way.
low horsepower. Get the angle kit. Learn to drive it. I don't think it's gonna make it any worse.
Yeah.
I-
They'll let us know in the comments.
Oh, I'm sure. I wave this flag and everybody tells me I'm wrong, but in my
Stay true
experience,
to it. I'm
I
cool with
disagree.
that. Mad respect.
Drifting stock angle is so not dejecting, but people see it, they're like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then they go and they try it and they're like, that was whack.
Yeah, I see it
I don't
deterring
get it.
people
And
from
like, I tried to drift a
continuing.
stock angle car and I can't even do it. So I'm like, maybe that's
because you didn't
why.
learn in a stock
Yeah,
angle.
because I didn't learn to start. Maybe that's why I hate it so much. But I mean, there's like GK Tech makes like a mini kit. FDF makes a
Little
mini
bolt-ons.
kit, the bolt-on stuff or cut knuckles or whatever. I think adding angle is a great place to learn as long as you don't just say, and I'm going to throw 1,000 horsepower at it.
Right.
That's going to be, you're going to end up like me and you don't want to do that.
Absolutely. We got any more hot takes for him?
I will say this, I'm really excited for the sport to grow
Definitely.
where other teams can be more like RTR. So it not levels the playing field out, but Vaughn has done such an amazing job at doing what no one's done
Mapped
before.
it out.
And if you watch the James Dean documentary that they released like 2 months
Oh,
ago,
dude.
they
Work
show
of
a
art.
bunch of the RTR, and I know he shows all the time, but they
Yeah.
show a lot of like their facility, and each car has its own like stall and white floors, and they're like making like extra carbon fiber parts and
Yeah.
bumper budget, and the backing they have, like that's the most admirable, respectable thing. Like for myself, as I consider myself an entrepreneur in
Absolutely.
business, and like I watch what they do, and I'm like,
Makes you feel small real quick.
it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like the work it takes to balance the amount of partners they have and the relationships with the OEs and make that happen is insanely difficult, but also gives them such an advantage. And I can't wait for other people to figure out
That
to
it's
do
possible.
what Vaughn did.
Yeah.
And
Let me ask you this
completely
then.
level it, like bring the whole playing field. And there's other people who are
Yeah,
on the way.
yeah.
You know, Papadakis runs an amazing team. There's a lot of amazing programs out there. But the RTR program is, in America, is absolutely the most impressive and the best thing I've ever seen.
I would agree with that. What would you say if there was a possibility of Shelby America joining FD on almost the same scale?
Like as a separate program?
There is word. I had
I was
an
saying, do you have
interview
some
with
inside
one of the
information here?
drivers that they're in the talks of possibly doing it, and it's like public info, like people can know about it. But yeah,
I
I'd
would-
be very interested to see how that plays
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I think that FD would greatly benefit from more
Yeah.
Vaughns. And that's a hard ask. Vaughn's been in it since the very beginning, and he's been working these relationships and has done an amazing job at composing himself and building the brand and
Yeah.
making the relationship. If there was another player to step in from an audience perspective, I want to see them meet their match.
Yeah,
And
I agree,
Papadakis,
yeah.
I would say, is like
it would only
is there.
make
It's like
things
the,
better.
The Osbos, the Turks, but you know, having Dean, having Vaughn, LZ, been, people want to drive for them.
Oh, yeah.
And imagine another player
just within the mix.
Coming in and being like, I'm gonna put a sign-up sheet on everyone from Drift Masters. That's the best. Do you want to come sign this? Oh, and not to leave out Shanahan. I'm leaving out probably a lot of drivers.
Yeah, right.
But the Shanahans are now, Connor's on his own program. I don't know if Jack is. I don't know if they're doing it together, but
I don't think so fully.
Yeah, like having Connor
on
here running Red Bull like he's doing.
Yeah. It's gonna be epic
huge.
For Formula J.
Seeing Red Bull presented the way it is in FD adds a lot of value, in my opinion.
Yep.
And is like slowly taking the steps up the ladder to make another player like RTR in the sport. Am I forgetting anyone? Can you think of like another program that's even close to that budget size?
Close to that size? No. I mean, in FD, no.
Yeah.
There isn't one.
Like, that's what excites me.
Worthhouse was, but they're not there anymore.
But they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I would say, like, that's a great comparable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, really if they are. But I just, when I watched that documentary, I was like this.
Just draw.
And then you see some guys that are like one of my favorite drivers, Jeff Jones.
Yeah.
You see him in his garage by himself, pulling the engine 2 weeks before FD, adding, putting in a new clutch, doing this or that.
Yeah.
Tools all over the floor. And you're like, damn, that guy's got passion, soul, and heart.
And he's funny as hell, too.
Yeah. And then you just see, like, someone at that level.
Yeah.
And then you watch that interview, and you're like, what? Wow.
So it's such a large gap in
There's
the same field, man. It's
same
crazy.
field, huge gap. And I can't wait until that gap
compresses
yep. And watch the level of driving go through the roof. And I think it's going to take a long time.
Do you ever see yourself putting yourself in the mix of all that?
Yeah, so many times, man.
Yeah?
So many times.
Well, you've obviously got the cars progressing that way, so.
We were planning to do Pro Spec this year, and there's just so much else going on.
I assume it's hard as a content
It's so many
creator.
other events that we're doing, and I haven't decided within me if I want to do it, if I don't want to do it.
What holds you from it, personally? Not business-wise, but personally.
I think, truthfully, one, it's a lot of money, but that aside, the amount of time it's going to dedicate to doing that versus everything else that I want to do. I've recently done a lot of road racing, and I want to dip my toes into GT4. There's some other aspirations I have towards road racing. And FD, even at Pro Spec, is four weeks a year, which isn't a lot.
Right.
But it's also a 5-day span of getting there, registration, practice, drive.
Yeah.
And then Pro 1, times that by 8. I don't think maybe people do, maybe people don't. It's a traveling circus. It is a if you want to be good, it is a full-time commitment.
Absolutely.
Adam doing what he does is like one of the many reasons to why I admire what he does so much, because I know that man's brain and I know his traveling schedule. To be the FD circus, the LZ circus, I'm going and driving in
I don't know how
Puerto Rico this weekend for a couple of days and finding a car, and I'm now gonna.
No.
He does an amazing job, and that boy drives more than any other person in the world. So
yeah.
You see it now this year. But all I'll say is I've had talks with the right people. They're like, you say the name, you say the word, we'll put you here. But I also really want to earn my license. I've never dedicated a full season because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I do really well, but I've never done let's see a full season. So this year for Hot Pit, we're really prioritizing the season. Mm-hmm. So round 2's next weekend at Kern. We're bringing the 350 out. We took the C6 out, which is like our party car.
Yeah.
Got 7th in the last round, and so we're gonna bring it. And the first place winner gets a straight pass to Pro 1. You bypass Pro Spec.
Oh, that is right.
First
That's
time
Hot
they've ever
Pits
done it.
only, right? That's so crazy.
And if let's say
Groundbreaking.
Rome wins every year at Hot Pit, well, let's say Rome wins, and let's say I'm in second, it goes
you
to
would
me.
get it?
Yeah.
That's
so
cool,
if it's
dude.
an FD driver, it goes to the next person in line.
Good.
So, I think we'll see. But what's great about Hot Pit is it's all FD drivers, super competitive field. They treat it very seriously.
They train you well for it.
And they're doing a really good job at it. Yeah, and it's You know, that only takes 2 days of our time of actually being there. And I still get to, like, fill that cup of, like, competitive driving that if I do well, it makes me feel good. I'm not like, yeah, well, you know, I had this car and no one else had that.
Well, you have the entrepreneur mindset, so it feels 100 times better just to earn something than anything.
I think when the right opportunity presents itself, I'd love to drive FD.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm having so much fun in so many other areas that I also, like, I'm enjoying doing that.
Don't blame you.
That I don't know. I don't want to pigeon myself just FD when there could be other opportunities with a farther road.
Yeah, I get it.
And right now, I don't know if FD is the right time for me. Also, too, like...
You'll get there.
Yeah, and also, too,
maybe
like...
one day.
The first year at Prospect 2 would be a pretty big wash. Driving the tracks. You're going to get 4 or 5 practice laps.
You're signing up to blow money.
And then you're going to get destroyed because you just don't know. And then everyone's going to be like, oh, my God, look.
Yup.
So you know, there's a lot of, like, just a lot.
I get it. But it'll be cool to see you in it one day.
I know.
I know it's
Adam,
coming.
Me and Adam talk
it
about
will,
it all the time.
But I would much rather you just keep nicking at the things you want to. You're obviously good at it. So
thank you.
It's really cool to see. Is there anything else you want to share on all of this stuff?
I think I'm pretty tapped. Start with an angle kit. Keep stock power. You want to learn how to drift? Go get a C6, put an angle kit on it. Thank me later.
Yeah.
That's like my new, like, cheater chassis. I think it's epic.
I feel that, dude.
It was the 370Z.
Yeah.
Now it's a C6. I think that's the new meta.
I could agree. There's more of them, I would say, readily available.
Yeah.
Maybe not as cheap, but...
Depends if you want the LS2 or LS3. If you want the LS3, you got to get a 2012 and up, which are still like 20-something grand.
Right.
But you can get like an early C6 for like 12 grand. It's an LS2. It's not the
so
3,
cheap.
but still.
Yeah. It's pre-LS swapped.
Yeah,
So
it's pre-LS. Dude, they're a nightmare to work on.
Yeah.
Don't get it and then be like, this sucks. It sucks to work on that car.
Absolutely.
Doing a clutch job on that, see you in a couple days, dude.
I'm good, man.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'll pay somebody to do it.
Other
at
than that,
point.
dude, like, things are epic.
Yeah.
Super
Well, what's
cool.
your best advice for anyone chasing the content route, entrepreneur route, anything like that?
This is what I'll say is my favorite quote I almost like live by. He who says he can and he who says he can't are usually both right.
Oh, yeah.
And you are
I've heard you
usually
say that.
Yeah, you're your usual like worst enemy. But beyond that, if you truly love what you're doing, you'll be successful. I think the opportunity for failure is very, very low. And what I mean by that is some people get into certain things or content creation for certain reasons, or they have a buddy who's like making this much money, or they've seen someone get a lucky break and do this, or you know they think it'll be an easier lifestyle. Would I just make some videos every day and hang back? I'm gonna do it for those reasons. I don't think any of those people can really be successful, at least for not a sustainable amount of time.
Yep.
But if you love what you're doing, so much the fact that you'll end up working 12, 14 hours a day because you just truly love it, you don't want to stop, you'll end up naturally outworking everybody else and putting in way more time and accelerate yourself so much further. And I think when you have that lethal combination of loving what you're doing and trying to find a way to make a living out of it, there's almost zero room for failure.
I don't think there was a better way you could have put that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think everybody has luck, but you create your own luck. It's very like hand in hand. And yeah, all people look at me and be like, yeah, you got lucky this or that. I'm like, yeah, because I work twice as hard as everybody else, or twice as long. Maybe not twice as hard, but I work twice as long because I love doing it 7 days a week. Of course I'm going to get more opportunity. Of course I'm going to find that luck. We generate that luck. And I think that says any entrepreneur will tell you the same thing.
Yeah. I would agree. I always try and say if you do something good enough for long enough that you love, it's bound to succeed.
Yeah. If you do anything long enough, you'll find success in it. As long as you're smart and you're able to read what's working, read what's not, take different things, try things that don't work, try things that do work, make a spreadsheet. Here's what worked, here's what didn't.
Yeah.
How can I apply something from this to another idea that was slightly different? See if I can get traction. You know, it's a very
100%.
big analytical game, but the overall message is if you love what you're doing, you're just stoked to be doing it. It's going to shine through the camera, and people are naturally going to be drawn to that in like the world we live in today. YouTube is a break from society. It's escapism. So if you can provide that,
We've
and
been fed
deliver a
fake
message,
shit for too long. Everybody just wants the authentic you.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's really cool, man. I really appreciate the words of advice, not just for me, but for everyone out there.
Yeah, and you guys are a good example of that.
Thank you.
You guys are a great example of that. You've been doing this now for how long?
3 years? 3 years? Yeah,
Yeah.
about 3 years now.
Yeah, I remember when you guys first started, and now
I remember the day you followed on TikTok. And that shit blew
I was
my fucking mind.
like, shit, these guys are fucking. I kept fucking seeing your stuff, and I'm like,
I was posting like 3 times a day then.
yeah, and I think that eventually after the 10th, 20th, 30th thing, whatever it was, I was like,
I appreciate
these
that.
are good. I like your guys's. I think I remember one of you guys talking about LZ, the controversy about you know this or that, and I'm like, oh, these guys are good. Sick.
Oh, I love it.
Sick. So
I apologize to Adam for all of that, by the way, just to let everyone know. Those were some pretty shitty reels, but yeah.
But you play the game. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what to clip.
Thank you.
So like, it got my attention enough. I'm like, cool. I wouldn't mind seeing this every day.
Hell yeah. That means a lot.
And I think that it's not, people doing something for a year and being like, oh, it's not working, and you quit. It's like, well, if you're doing it for viewership, you're probably gonna get smoked.
Yeah.
It's the very oversaturated market now. When I started, it was a lot easier.
Yeah.
It was like I invested in Apple before Apple was Apple. That's what I always say.
Literally, yeah.
I invested early and got a great payoff, and now I'm loving what I'm doing. There's also a lot of adaptations I had to make along the way because things are changing. You got to stay on top of that.
Yep. Well, I will say that you were the first automotive YouTuber that I ever found on the internet, and you are arguably the only reason that any of this exists. So I just want to say that. I really appreciate the work you put in.
Man.
It's inspired a lot of me.
Yeah, it's cool to see you out here. So this is what I'm talking about. I've never seen a podcast set up at a Gridlife just creating your own luck. You created your luck by being here, taking the investment and be like, I could get maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes just by random guys that are walking by. I don't see any other podcast doing that.
That was the whole idea around it.
That's why when you asked me, I was like, fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
Thank you, dude.
Like,
that means
I
a lot.
love seeing that. And you are creating your luck. And it's things when I see like-minded people pushing it and working hard on it, it gets me fired up because I had a few people when I first started that kind of invested in me and opportunities like that, or just shared time with me.
Yep.
That gave me the encouragement that I'm sure got me something and moved on to the next thing. So
cool.
I love it. Thank you for the words. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Seriously. Really appreciate it. I won't hold you up no more. I know you got to go back to the rush cars.
Yeah, I was
and
like,
stuff,
they're all
so
calm and we're getting ready.
I don't know how long I've had you, so.
I got invested,
seriously.
man. He was like, yeah, with 15 minutes. I'm like, I think it's been like 30 or 35.
My bad, dude.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Go have some fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Now, before anything, I want to give a massive thank you to TJ Hunt for taking the time out of his not only Rush series, but day at Gridlife on his own to come and sit down and just chat with me. If you stopped in here because of TJ, go ahead and let me know that in the comments. And if you really enjoyed the episode, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you really want to hear more. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss that, go ahead and hit the bell notification, and I will see you guys next week.
Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings.